Hey everybody, it's Durger time, and you know what that means. It's time for another episode of our TEW 2020 Challenge Save All Elite Wrestling New Era. We're trying to take AEW in a new direction. We're trying to deal with the constant fight for momentum, and we're not doing that great. Last episode, we had Winter's Coming, and it did fine. We did some interesting things on it, and some big debuts, some title changes, some fun stuff, but we're not quite getting that momentum that we want. We have 3 objectives to complete by the end of December in the save. That gets to be a bit of a problem because some of them are going to be tough. 2 of them are going to be pretty easy, I think. So we have Fuego. Fuego needs a win. And he needs to have a feud that ends with at least 55 heat. Well, we're right there. Fuego's not better than you. We already have the storyline. It's going to lead to maybe MJF being upset, but that's part of the challenge, right? It's a 55, so it's considered hot already. As long as we maintain that, we're pretty much golden. I think we can. I don't think there's going to be an issue there. My issue will be I'm going to have MJF lose to Fuego, which should be interesting, and he might be upset with it. So we'll see if we can get him to be okay with it or not. I think if it's just a TV show win, he'll be okay. If we did it on the event on Winter is Coming, I tried it, and he was like, no, absolutely not. So, you know. The other thing we have is a Cody storyline, which we're doing between Cody and Dustin. Kind of leading to this heel Cody gimmick of him being disrespectful for the fans. We turn him to punish Cody Rhodes. So we have this sort of evil Cody now, this one that's feeling betrayed by the fan base, and bitter, feeling disgraced, and is looking to punish himself and others over it, right? This has a 55. We need it to be a 60. The challenge is going to be is that can Dustin and Cody get there? I don't know. So that's going to be a challenge. Can we get them to 60, or did I screw myself by having Dustin? We'll see. Guys, I don't like to book based on trying to get the maximum. I try to book what I think is interesting, and so be it. So, save might be a bit of a punishment for me. And then finally, the women's needle mover. We needed to have a female wrestler that can debut and become considered a star in our company. We have Lena, a.k.a. Nia Jax, with a big debut facing Ruby Soho. This is the one I think we're definitely not going to get, but maybe we will. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Things can move quickly, but we need her to really move quickly up the card here. Right now, she's considered well-known. So that's one step below star. So it's not too bad, right? But can we get there in time? I don't know. Can we get there without her injuring somebody? I don't know. We'll have to find out. I don't know. It's going to be difficult. We'll see. So it's definitely some challenges, and it's definitely going to be an interesting couple episodes to try to get these all to happen while maintaining where we are. We lost momentum in the last show. Our averages are not too bad currently. I think it's 65 and 61, so they're doable. So we won't necessarily lose chips from that, but it doesn't mean we're not losing momentum, which could affect Tony Khan's opinion of us, which right now is rated as low. He's not too thrilled with losing that momentum, so we need to push those back up. That's going to be a problem because this save could end with us getting fired, which we do not want to do. So definitely problems. We can get back in his good graces by maintaining Daniel Bryanson's 71 popularity and not falling into debt, but we definitely want to move the needle in the other direction because Tony's not pleased. All right. That said, just want to give a heads up, sort of through this, that screw that. Alright, well, with that being said, let's go ahead and get on to our next episode of Dynamite, and hopefully change this perspective of our owner before we get canned. Alright guys, we are back 120 minutes, so we could have went over about another 5 minutes, but I think we did okay. Remember how I said I was going to try to just put on the best show possible? I don't think I did it. But we do have a pretty good main event that should be pretty interesting. And some matches I think are going to be okay, but we definitely tried to focus on building up those storylines. We'll see how this goes. I don't know. Let's go ahead and check out our episode of Dynamite and see how it shakes out. So we start the show off with an announcement that there is going to be a triple threat main event for the number one contendership involving CM Punk, Jon Moxley, and Cody Rhodes. Why? Because I book it, that's why. Theoretically, I don't know if Cody would actually qualify, or Jon Moxley would qualify for number one contendership, but basically, with Hangman losing his shot, they all got bumped up, somehow they're all even, whatever. For the sake of booking, we're going to say that works. And, you know, I mean, rankings in AEW are like the points in Whose Line Is It Anyways. They're all made up, doesn't really matter. They just kind of get the dark and other matches to happen to and weight it in a way that they need it to. So we're going to ignore it, and we're going to say that, hey, this works out for us. So Punk, Moxley, Cody Rhodes, number one contendership, big match. Theoretically should get a really good score. Probably Cody's probably the weakest of the bunch here. We'll have to see how it shakes out. 67 is a good way to start the show. Does not get the crowd hotter, though, so hopefully the next work the crowd match will. And we have Dustin versus Daniel Garcia. It's considered a poor match, unfortunately. Dustin had a 47, Daniel Garcia had a 38. They had good chemistry, though, and it lifted in the match. And Brandy did good work ringside with Dustin. So, you know, not too bad. Wasn't quite what we wanted, but that's fine. That happens sometimes. We have, after that, a promo where Dustin just says that he doesn't know what's gotten into his brother. It makes him sick seeing him be so different than who he should be, who he knows him as, kind of building that kind of animosity between the two of them again still. Remember, we do need for one of our current objectives is we need them to be in a feud with at least 60 heat. So we're trying to make that with him and Dustin, and this is certainly trying to build that up. We do not gain heat, but we do advance the storyline, so at least we don't lose heat with this. That's something. We have Silas Young debuting, and doesn't go well. I thought he would have been a little bit better than that. Interesting. Now, this may have been a bad matchup, though. I set this as a high flyer match, and actually both of them have decent scores for it. So, yeah, that's a bummer. That's a big bummer. We debut Silas Young. It doesn't go over very well. It gets a very good rating for his gimmick, though. That's a shame. It gets a 40. He beats Luchasaurus with a shooting star press. Afterwards, another underperforming segment, which now makes me concerned. Afterwards, the school come out to surround the newcomer Silas Young. He puts up his fist, and he's ready to square away at him before they all crack a smile and embrace each other in a hug. Silas Young is part of the school. We learn another bitter veteran who never got his due. They all turn around and begin to attack Luchasaurus on the ground, stomping him in before leaving. So now they got a feud with Darby and Sting, where they're here. They got a feud with Luchasaurus. We're going to try to put Silas more on a microphone for this group, I think. But I'm thinking we're going to need another person, because I really want a showstopper, and we don't have it here, unfortunately. Backstage, we have a fantastic segment here that really did a good job. The commentary apparently deserved better on this. An intimate moment. Hangman is backstage, drinking beer and watching the show. He's not on it tonight. He's watching it. He's recovering from his loss at Rampage. Punk comes in and says, "Hey, listen, sorry about that loss." He's holding back a sense of satisfaction. You can kind of see it creeping in his smile. He leans in and goes, "Listen, I hear that you got your ass kicked to the back of the line, but don't worry, cheer up, because I know the crowd loves you. I know you're great here." And TK had told me that after the triple threat tonight, when I win the AEW championship afterwards, I can pick my first opponent, and I would love to have you in the ring with me. So cheer up, you'll get another shot. Hangman is upset at him, and he knocks his beer off the table, letting it clank to the ground. He rises to meet Punk, and he says, "Knock this good guy shit off. Ever since I came back, I could feel this childish passive-aggressiveness bullshit from you. The taunting, the teasing, the mind games. What did I do to you?" Punk snaps back at him. "It's because you're not good enough. Don't you see it? They love you out there. And they love a loser. They love someone that they see themselves in. Someone that's anxious, someone that's uncertain, someone that's crippled by their own pathetic vices," as he points down as him drinking. "They don't want to aspire to be better. They don't want to improve themselves. They don't want to be the best they can be. They only care about reveling in their own selfish loser selves. They see it in you. They feel comfort in you. It's pathetic. You're pathetic. They deserve more." Punk walks away and leaves Hangman furious. So Hangman basically just been called a loser, an alcoholic, and a person who is not good enough. Punk apparently taking the moral high ground here and seeing sort of the people latching on to someone that he considers to be kind of everything he hates in a person as something that's pathetic and undesirable, and has latched on to that anger against Hangman. So we see that here. Segment is fantastic. Leaves, again, building this feud up between the two of them. Afterwards, we have a quick segment of Ruby Soho being announced as joining the commentary booth for the next match. That's okay for a 1-minute segment. Afterwards, we have Lena Fanini, aka Nia Jax, versus Riho. Lena beats her in 10 minutes with a submission. We advance the Monstrous debut storyline. And Ruby Soho's face turn not going well. Is getting little reaction, unfortunately. I think we're going to do it. We're just going to call it. It was a complete success, so lucky for us, Ruby Soho becomes face. Lena penalized again in being poor form, but we're ultimately gets us a 45. It's not too bad when you consider their in-ring performances. Afterwards, we have Lena continuing to attack Riho. Again, we saw this in Winter's Coming. She starts to stomp on her, attack her, and then Ruby ends up attacking her from commentary, jumps out of the ring, or jumps out of the commentary seat, runs down the ramp, begins to fend off Nia Jax, and Lena here is just levels her out, basically. She can't beat her. Ruby's on the ground, Riho's on the ground, and Lena walks away smirking. We actually lose heat for this storyline, unfortunately. Big bummer. We need to move Lena off. I think we need to end this soon. Try to give Lena a big win and then move her. I'm trying to think of how we can get her to star. And we might have to go drastic, and we might have to have her beat Britt, honestly. Meanwhile, the La Familia come out, and they reintroduce a healthy Rey Fenix. Their champions are back. Andrade mentions that, Rush is no longer champion, but it's all in good time, because when you are idols, step backs are only temporary. In weaker stables, they would have cast Rush aside, but they know that the glory of the championship is inevitable for him, so they do not seem to care. Andrade still champion, Pentagon and Rey Fenix still champion, no problems at all. And Pentagon and Rey get prepared to face a tag team tonight, so Andrade and Rush step aside and let Rey and Pentagon have their first match in a while, now that Rey's back and healthy. This does okay. 67 is kind of what we want. Lucha Brothers versus Good Brothers. Brothers versus Brothers. We have a pretty decent match. It's 59. It's not too bad. 12 minutes. Lucha Brothers defeat the Good Brothers, maintaining their dominant status. There's apparently Rey has not missed a step after coming back. Overall, we do pretty good here. We advance the storyline of AEWs for real tag teams. Afterwards, seeing this result, we have Tully Blanchard backstage in a pretty weak promo, unfortunately, for what this should have been. He's basically saying that, hey, FTR are the realest tag team. They're the real deal. They're the true top. And, Lucha Brothers' reign's going to end. Everybody else is not, doesn't matter. And FTR is going to become the first two-time AEW tag team champions. And from there, they might as well retire the belt, because it's just going to be them. We lose heat for this storyline, unfortunately. This underperforms. Tully, apparently not as good of a mic guy as I thought. We have a really good match, actually. Jericho kind of carries a lot of this. Matt Hardy was off his game, but it got the crowd hotter. It had great heat, decent wrestling. A returning Chris Jericho, we haven't really booked at all, comes in to have a exhibition match against Matt Hardy, defeats him in submission with the Walls of Jericho, does a fantastic rating. And afterwards, the lights go out, and when they come back on, Jericho meets Malachi Black face to face. He gets misted, and then Malachi disappears into the darkness, setting up a feud here of Malachi. Malachi has said that he wants to go again, fight the foundation of the company, right? He was targeting Cody. He turned Cody toxic and revealed his true self. Now he's going against Jericho. Again, finding those foundation members and starting to unravel them. This is a 63. And in our main event, we have CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes versus Jon Moxley for number one contendership. And in a controversial conclusion of a pretty good match. Actually, everybody but Cody Rhodes did phenomenal. Jon Moxley had an 83. Punk had an 83. Cody Rhodes had a 58. We have Cody defeating Punk and Moxley in 18 minutes, or 16 minutes. Cody pins Jon Moxley. We're using the ropes for leverage. There's supposed to be a distraction here that's not reported, and I don't know why it does this sometimes. But part of the reason why this happens is because Hangman Page comes out and distracts Punk. So pissed off at what he said, he came out for a distraction, and that allowed Cody to get in after a GTS was given to Moxley, pin him, and now Cody Rhodes is our number one contender. 76 for this. Afterwards, we get the fallout of Hangman after having distracted Punk and costing him the match. Goes straight to blows and had to be pulled apart. The crowd wants more. We build up this Hangman versus Punk story. Cody Rhodes still has this now weird opportunity to win the title. Moxley again being leveled out. How much more can he take before he gets to a really dark place? We end the show strong. Even though the show started weak, I think we ended pretty well. Now we need a 66 or higher. And we got a 69. It's actually really good. we did not gain. We actually gained popularity. That was a great show overall. I think even though the undercard was a little bit weaker and it got a little scary, those final matches, those final moments, we see if we put Punk, we put Moxley, we put Jericho out there, we're going to do okay. So that is awesome. That was a great way to end it for Dynamite there. We ended up getting... Did we get anything? No, we did not gain any points. But we don't lose any. And that's definitely what is important. All right. So I will catch you on the flip for Rampage. All right, guys. We have a full Rampage here for us. 65 minutes. How does it do? I don't know. It's just a tough one to judge. We have some okay matches, but these Rampages are always difficult. We only need to do a 61. No, we have to. Our average is 61, so we need to do a 62 or higher to maintain momentum. Did we do it? I don't know. We'll find out. We do have some booking problems involving Fuego just being used too much, but that is part of our objectives, so we kind of have to balance that out. Let's go ahead and let's see what Rampage has in store for us. So we started off with a very cheap pop of Jericho coming out to his music to do an interview, to do a little single promo after having come back. It's the first time he's been back since All Out for us. And he goes and he does the kind of typical, like, Jericho is back in AEW, baby. He gloats, gets that adoration of the fans, really plays up the crowd. Remember, he is a face for us. And he says, I am back full time. I've done my tours, I've done my cruise, and I took some time off to reflect and get better and get back to where I need to be. And I realized that I need to challenge myself, that I've gone up there in the years, and a lot of people are like, you're good for a legend, but does he still have it? And I want to prove that in this new landscape, I still have it. That I'm not just that legend that people talk about, that you bring out when the ratings need a pop. Now I'm here to prove to you and myself that Jericho is still a threat. And I expected to face adversity in this next run, which honestly, this may be my final run, depending on how it goes. But what I didn't expect was clear disrespect. Malachi Black. I saw what you did to Cody, and I'm going to tell you right now, walk away. Because I am no Cody Rhodes. I don't back down from a fight. I don't break easily from scare tactics. I don't run away from elk antlers. I hunt them. You think this is the first time I got mist in my face? I fought in death matches in Japan before you were born. The choice is yours, but I can tell you right now, if you continue this path, that this is where your journey ends. Because me and the Inner Circle aren't going to just beat you, we will end you. So he gets a big pop, gets the crowd off to a big, strong start. They're very happy to see Jericho back, and we gain heat for this storyline, and this does very well. 75, as we're kind of building up this idea of he knows Malachi's targeting him, and he's giving him this one time to walk away. We know Malachi won't, but we are going to have to see if this renewed, vigorous Jericho can fend off Black, or if Black has bitten off more than he can chew. We have a TNT match. It's very short, 10 minutes. Makes defense number 1 of the TNT title. Keith Lee versus Ethan Page. Does pretty okay. It's a 65. Keith Lee has a 68. Ethan Page is a 46. Keith Lee will be a workhorse wrestler for us. So he is going to just go ahead and do a lot of, open challenges and matches as we kind of build him up. Ethan Page we haven't used in a while, so we gave him some opportunity to shine here, and does pretty okay. 65, I'm not going to complain about that. That's a fantastic, good mid-card match. This is a little bit weaker. Uh, Fuego del Sol defeats Sean Spears in 9 minutes pinfall. Fuego had a 41. Sean Spears has a 45. Again, we're trying to build Fuego up. We got to get this objective done. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to say what's going on here, but it did not work out too well for us. I mean, actually, I'm going to disagree with that. I'm going to disagree with my former statement, because it is a 47. Sean had a 45. Fuego had a 41. We did better than what they should have been able to do. Like, overall, they did really well. Afterwards, again, we have a pretty good segment. After Fuego's win, MJF comes out to attack Fuego with Wardlow. Wardlow gets him from behind, and MJF lashes out on him on the microphone before he's about to beat him. He's saying like the typical heel things, like, the crowd loves you because you're a loser like them. No one respects you. You're a fluke. You're a nobody. He's about to attack Fuego. Sammy Guevara comes out to try to make the save, but after pushing him away a little bit, Sean Spears recovers and ends up hitting him with a chair. There's a 3-on-2 disadvantage here, and MJF pulls Fuego by the mask back up and screams at him on the microphone and says, Fuego, you see, the problem is you don't really have any friends. Just this loser YouTuber masquerading as a wrestler. But the Pinnacle, that's a bond that runs deep. You don't have anybody else in your corner. Of course, this ends up triggering the American Dragon's music to hit, who we know is actually now being protéged. Or actually, I should say, Fuego is now being protéged by Bryan Danielson. He's learning backstage, so we're playing into that in our save by adding him as a manager and helping build up Fuego, and we're introducing a little bit of spice, bring Bryan Danielson in to help this feud out. Even with his help and building up the battle lines here, we only get a 59, but presumably we're going to have a 3-on-3 match, probably next Dynamite, with Fuego, Sammy, and Bryan Danielson versus MJF, Wardlow, and Sean Spears. That's a weird I've ever made one, but we're gonna try to make him the secret sauce here and to make this feud work so we can complete this objective and play into what's really going on in our save, which is that Fuego is learning from Bryan Danielson. And our main event, which doesn't do great, we have Darby Allin versus Bobby Fish, continuing this storyline between the School versus Darby Allin. Oh, actually, sorry, just not the main event yet, but that is going to be the main event. We announce that the School are banned from the main event tonight, from ringside. So they are not allowed to be ringside versus a solo competition between Bobby Fish and Darby Allin. We actually gain heat for the storyline, which is great. We have a pretty subpar match, unfortunately, between Layla Hirsch and Lena. I mean, it's just a decent reaction, but terrible wrestling, we'll say. It's a 2 minutes, it's just a quick match. It's a nothing match. We have a standing leg drop defeating Layla Hirsch. We just have Lena ragdoll her around. It's not much to say about it. We're just trying to continue to build wins, try to make her as dominant as possible. We got to get her to star. Afterwards, she gets on the microphone. She does okay. Though she struggled with going off script, we should have scripted her. But she just calls out saying that Ruby doesn't realize that she's unstoppable, that nothing will prevent her from her goal, and that, she just needs to stop, basically. Typical just monster heel kind of blowharding, as we continue to have her have an undefeated streak and just continue to try to build her to be a monster. And our main event actually does really well. Darby Allin with a 72, Bobby Fish with a 51, ends with a 69. It's a decent match. Darby Allin defeats Bobby Fish now that there's nobody out there, with a coffin drop. Got the crowd buzzing. We gain heat for the storyline. And then afterwards, a video plays as Darby is experiencing his win here, and Silas Young is in the back facing the camera, and he kind of gives a very heelish Darby Allin, mocking him a bit. Congratulations on your match. I guess you did really well when we were banned from ringside. And I guess you didn't need your proud papa, the Stinger, either. Oh, wait. He wasn't banned from ringside. Where was he? Oh, that's right. He's right here. And he moves away from the camera to reveal a beaten-up Sting chained up to a parking lot pillar. Silas and Buddy Matthews take turns beating on Sting some more while laughing before Silas points at the Sting's bat that's on the ground. Buddy acknowledges the command and picks up the bat, lines up, and swings straight into Sting's gut, presumably injuring him. Darby, in the meantime, is bolting to the backstage. The camera is struggling to follow him as he runs. By the time he gets there, he just finds Sting unconscious and injured, the school gone, and the bat with some blood on it on the ground. Darby picks it up and looks at the camera as we end our show. Darby looked good in the segment, ends it with a 62. We had one really good match. Will it be enough? We need a 62 or higher. 62, exactly. We actually lost popularity in 10 regions for the show, though. The rampages are killing us, which is a bummer. But it is what it is. I should probably try to stop advancing storylines on it, because it always seems like it hurts us. But it's hard to do that with just 1 hour, and I have that habit. So overall, though, we at least don't lose any momentum this episode, but we did lose popularity, which is not great. All right, we got some decisions to make. We got some mail before we go. Our Dynamite figures are pretty good, so that's all right. Unfortunately, our performance is still rated as low, which is not good for us. That's potentially a problem for us at some point, but we will deal with it as we come to it. We still have these objectives, the owner objectives that we can complete, that we have a long time for, that should hopefully boost that up. But as we continue to lose actual popularity, it's not going to go well for us. So we have to really be more careful with our Rampage, I think. Decisions, just our contract with Anthony Bowens is fine. Let's look at that contract right before we go, though. We have little feelers out for Charlotte and Paige. Currently the only one she's seriously considering. So we should have Charlotte in the bag, and I believe we're the only ones for Paige. So we should have a good infusion of talent for the women's division going forward. So that is super exciting. Should be a great addition for us. But that was it for me today. Thank you guys for joining me for another episode, and I'll see you again next time.